Ready?
Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm George Russell here answering your questions for the Q&A.
Alright, can I start by asking you one?
Yes.
Waiting for people to come. You are so far the only driver on the grid who has 2 race wins, one in sprint, one in feature.
Yes.
How's that feel? Do you feel like you're picking up the challenge?
No, certainly 2 race wins so far this season. I think we potentially could have had at least one more on top of that, so it feels good. P3 in the championship at the moment. Obviously, I'm here fighting for the victory or for the championship at the end of this year. But I feel like we're in a really good position right now. I prefer to be P3 in the championship currently, knowing that we've got more potential to come, rather than being P1 in the championship and knowing we've almost not looked into it, but maybe we shouldn't be there. So I think I'm very happy and very confident with where we are at the moment.
Okay. Well, we see that there are some questions coming. You want to read that?
Yes.
Say, you can move up and down.
So how is the comparison of a DTM, Formula 1 and a Formula 2 car? So a Formula 2 car and a Formula 1 car are certainly much closer than a DTM car. Obviously, Formula 1 is just a huge step up in all aspects comparing to a Formula 2 car. So it's just an incredible experience driving an F1 car. But a DTM, on the other hand, once again is a fantastic car in its own field, let's say. It just doesn't feel right that a tin top car can have that much grip in the corners and over the course of a lap can be so quick. So they're all extremely good cars. Hi George, how do you see your chances of being in Formula 1 next season? Alex Judder. So Alex, I think my chances are good, to be honest, how I'm currently feeling. Personally, I believe I've been performing well into my targets, let's say. I think it's clear for me, if I want to be in Formula 1 next season, I have to go out and win the championship. I've been set clear goals, and I think I need to go and make it happen for myself. And I know if I go out and win this championship, I'll have a very good chance next season. So I'm currently feeling positive, but these things are never easy, and Formula 1 is not an easy sport and an easy world. So keep on pushing and see where we get at the end of this year.
Do you have any more?
Who is my favourite football club? I'd say I'm not a massive supporter of football. I enjoy watching football, but I don't really support any team in particular. I would say I favour Manchester United. If they were playing, I'd want them to win. But I enjoy watching football, so it doesn't matter who it is, as long as it's a good game. I enjoy watching it.
Nothing else?
How many hours do I spend in the gym to stay fit to drive? So pre-season, before the racing gets started, I'll be in the gym twice a day, pretty much 7 days a week. Not all strength work or lifting weights and what have you. And obviously I spend a lot of time on the bike, running and what have you. But I'd say on average, probably 2.5 to 3 hours a day worth of training or physical activity to be ready for racing. I think a lot of people underestimate how tough it is to drive a racing car, especially in Formula 1 with the amount of G-force going through. It's a complete another level. I think to put it into perspective, somebody worked out the G-force into kilograms, and in some corners there's up to 50 kilos worth of force on your neck, which is just extremely crazy. But no, it's certainly not easy, and not as easy as it looks from the outside, let's say.
Sorry, is there a huge difference from GP3 to F2 in terms of those G-force and
yeah, GP3 to F2, there was quite a big step up, mainly in the braking phase of the corner with carbon brakes in Formula 2. The stopping power is extremely good, so yeah, it's just, the braking again is a weird feeling. You're entering a corner I don't know, 15, 20 kilometers an hour quicker, yet you can brake at least at the same point. So preparing yourself mentally and physically for that is pretty tough. So from Tom Fawcett, somebody who I was teammates with in karting, how fast would your brother be in the same car as me? So my brother was an ex-go-kart driver. He was very good in his day, won the British Championship and actually won the World Championship in his category. I'm sure he'd say he'd be quicker than me. I'd argue that one, but no, my brother was good in his day, let's say. What car do you drive yourself? I have a Mercedes C-Class, which is a very nice car. Obviously a Mercedes, came up from an A-Class last year, so going in the right direction, let's say, from that front. But no, the Mercedes cars are great, obviously I'd say that, but they are, and I since driving one, I've really enjoyed being behind the wheel of it. How hard are the F2 cars to launch off the line? From John Walkerdine. Seems to be a few drivers stalling on the line. Yeah, so they've certainly been very difficult this far in the season. I think there's been definitely some changes with the new car since last year, which has made it very difficult for the drivers. And I think I've mentioned it before, obviously when you get a new car, there's always going to be a few little things which aren't exactly perfect and make it difficult for the driver, or reliability is not exactly great. So unfortunately for the driver, it was the clutches this year which made it very tricky for us. We've made some improvements as the championship have, and it's certainly going in the right direction. But no, again, it's not like pulling your own road car away off the line. It's extremely tough, let's say. How good is my singing? My singing is not very good at all, and I'm not going to prove that to you. You can take my word on that. Who's my F1 role model who I wish to follow? I wouldn't say there's somebody in particular who's my role model in Formula One. I admire quite a few different people for different reasons. I think Lewis Hamilton, just for his outright speed, and when everything is going right for him, he can throw in a lap which is just extremely good. So I really admire him for that. But then on the other hand, you've got guys like Jenson Button, who's an extremely good driver, and off the circuit he's kind of the marketing dream for these manufacturers or brands or what have you. So I admire him for that as well, because I think being a racing driver, it's not all about how quick you are on the circuit, it's a number of factors. And then on the other hand, you've got Alonso, and I think you can trust Alonso to get the best out of whatever he's given on any given day, really. So again, I think that's extremely important, because not always everything is running smoothly, and on the tough days you need to be able to get the most out of your car, and I think he does that well. So yeah, a number of people who I admire in Formula One. If asked, would you jump into a Force India seat for the rest of the season or finish your F2 season to gain more experience? From Adam. Well, that's a very good question. I think I don't think any driver could turn down the opportunity to drive in Formula One.
That's what happened with Roman.
Yeah, exactly. With Grosjean back in the day when he was racing GP2. No, Formula One's my dream. That's what I've been working towards all of my life, and ultimately where I want to be. I think there's more benefits to gain experience inside Formula One to gain F1 experience comparing to Formula 2. Although I am a winner, and if I'm fighting for this championship, I would like the opportunity to be able to go out and finish the job and win it, let's say. But no, I don't think I'd ever be able to turn down an opportunity in F1, no matter who it was with.
Do you feel ready?
Do I feel ready for an F1 seat? Yeah, I do feel ready, if I'm honest. I felt ready at the end of last year. Mercedes made it clear to me that if I perform, they will give me the opportunity in practice sessions with Force India. They'll also give me testing opportunities, and after these tests and practice outings, I gained a lot of confidence in the car, and I really feel that if I were to be put in a race seat tomorrow, let's say, I think I'm ready for it. And especially after my test last week with Force India, which went very well personally, and I felt good, I felt confident, so no, I certainly feel ready for the chance if given. Clifford John Raisin, if you were given the opportunity to drive in F1, which team would you want? I think that's a very easy question for me. Certainly Mercedes. They're leading both championships currently. They've been the world champions for the past 4 years, so extremely easy answer for me. What was the breakthrough moment in my career? Was there a hinge point to your success? Well, I think in my single-seater career, a sort of, I'd say 2 breakthrough moments for me. The first one being at the end of 2014 when I was nominated for the McLaren Autosport BRDC Award in the UK, a hugely prestigious award and opportunity the British Racing Drivers Club give British drivers. They send them out for an assessment at Silverstone in a DTM, a McLaren GT3 and a old Formula 2 car over 2 days and assess how their performance is. And at the time I was the youngest ever driver nominated for this award and went on to win it, and I think that kind of was a bit of a breakthrough moment for me, because there was a lot of good experienced drivers I was up against, and that kind of really I'm not too sure what the word is, but put me on the map on a level playing field against a lot of good drivers. So, and then the second one being when Mercedes took me as a young driver. I think that was a huge turning point for my career. I wasn't too sure where I was going to end up in a few years' time with no major sponsorship back in or no Formula 1 back in. And I got the phone call from Mercedes, and I had a 7-month long assessment with them throughout 2016 before I got a phone call in October telling me that they'd take me as a young driver. So again, that was the second breakthrough, I'd say, and then I knew that I only had to focus on myself. I didn't have to worry about sponsorship, I didn't have to worry about not being in the best team. I knew Mercedes would give me the opportunity, and I purely had to focus on myself doing the job, and that was a huge weight off my shoulders, let's say. How do I prepare for Monaco? What is the hardest to do in the preparation? I think Monaco is an extremely difficult circuit to prepare for, as it is a street circuit. From my side, I've done a lot of simulator work. I do this anyway for Mercedes back in Brackley. Before each event we'll do the pre-race simulations, testing a number of things on the car in the simulator to see what works best and to see if they can arrive to a circuit with any better knowledge. And on top of that, I've just been watching a lot of onboard videos from over the years, and I think just to try and gain as much knowledge as possible. But I think for Monaco, as soon as you get out for that first lap, everything's completely different. When you're going at 270 kilometers an hour with walls a couple of meters either side of you, it's going to be slightly different to the simulator, but we'll wait and see. If you could add a track to the circuit that's not currently on the calendar, what track would it be? Very good question. I think it probably wouldn't be allowed to be on a Formula 1 calendar, but I'd have to say Macau, which I raced in Formula 3. Another street circuit like Monaco, but just an unbelievable track with so much character. It's such a pure circuit with a mixture of slow speed, high speed corners, long straights. So it's really kind of a pure driver's circuit. And I've never, generally in the past, I either enjoy a circuit if I'm quick there, or I don't enjoy it if I'm slow there. And Macau was the only place where I started off the practice sessions and I wasn't quite up to speed yet, and I wasn't quick enough yet. I was still absolutely loving the experience, but in the end we went and put it on pole, so that was made up of the practice sessions and made me love the circuit even more. But no, it was just such a fantastic circuit. But I think it's probably not quite wide enough for the current Formula 1 cars in its current conditions. How do I feel about the split qualifying session in Monaco? Now, to be honest, I'm happy about the split qualifying session because the circuit isn't probably long enough for all 20 cars to be on the circuit at the same time. So what would end up happening is some drivers would have traffic, the odd driver would have a clear lap, and it would be a complete mess. So I think the split session is understandable and very much needed for us.
That's why we did it.
Exactly, yes. What's my favourite thing to relax after a race weekend? I think just spending time with my family or girlfriend, just chilling out. I think as a racing driver, it's quite difficult to switch off, as there's a lot of races constantly going over, and especially with my role at Mercedes, I'll often be in the simulator one at least, or maybe 2 times a week. So I've just constantly got racing on my mind, so it's very difficult to switch off and relax. But yeah, like I say, when I get the opportunity, just spend the time with family, friends, and my girlfriend. Do I want Lando Norris to become my teammate in Formula 1 someday? Yeah, I don't think I'd mind it at all. I think Lando is definitely a fantastic driver, and personally I'm here to try and be the best driver out there possible. So if you want to be the best, you've got to come against the best. So I think I'd love the opportunity to be in the exact same car as him, and we can just go head to head and see who comes out on top, really. Hi George, would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 20 duck-sized horses? I think I've heard of this sort of question before. I don't know if it's the same person or not. So, fight a horse-sized duck or 20 duck-sized horses? I'd probably have to say 20 duck-sized horses. I think that'd be easier to fend off, but no. Certainly an interesting question that was. What do I think about Mercedes' chances to win the Monaco Grand Prix? Well, certainly this was one of the toughest Grand Prix for Mercedes last year. As they had, I think, in Singapore in 2015, where they were dominating the season, yet they arrived to Singapore and it kind of all went wrong for them. But they came back the next year and were still right up there fighting. So I think their chances are certainly high. Probably not quite as high as a normal kind of circuit such as Silverstone, Spa, Suzuka, but I think we've learned from the mistakes which were made last year. We've been doing loads of simulator work before to try and get those mistakes out of the way, so hopefully hit the ground running, and it should be in a better position compared to last year. And obviously with the hyper soft tyres coming this weekend, it will be an interesting one. If you could be teammates with any world champion in F1, who would you pick? So I think, yeah, just going back to the comment, what I mentioned earlier, with being teammates with Lando, I think I'd probably want to be teammates with Lewis Hamilton, purely because, in my opinion, I believe he's the quickest driver on the grid currently, and I want to face myself against the best, and not only to learn but to prove myself. So I think Lewis would be the person. Hopefully one day that can actually happen. How did it feel when I stepped into an F1 car for the first time? No, unbelievable experience. It was kind of a dream come true, and it was more than I kind of ever imagined, really. I knew that it was going to be extremely quick. I knew there's going to be a huge amount of grip and downforce and just everything, but it all excelled my expectations. And I think as a driver, you just cannot explain that feeling of how quick these cars are until you really get to experience it. And for me, it was absolutely incredible. And it was kind of a point where I said to myself, like, I knew Formula 1 was where I wanted to be, but that really cemented the idea in my mind that this is what I want to be doing week in, week out, because that feeling I had just driving this car was unbelievable, and I want that more often. So yeah. 2 more minutes, okay. Hey George, who do you think will win the Monaco Grand Prix? Well, I'm hoping it's one of the silver cars of Mercedes, who I actually think will win. I'm not sure. I think Red Bull are looking very strong ahead of this weekend. I think their car will really suit this circuit, and their strengths so far this season have been slow speed corners, which there's a lot of in Monaco. Yeah, I think Force India will be looking strong. They've came on so far once again from the start of this year, which is just really incredible from them. I think they've done it the last 2 or 3 seasons now, where they start the season at the first race probably a bit lower than they expected, fighting for points, and then they learn a huge amount and come with great updates, and suddenly they're back fighting for that 4th position in the constructors. So I think they're looking strong. But no, if I had to put my money on someone, I'm going to say Daniel Ricciardo. Final question. Let's try and find. Is F2 to F1 a bigger step than F2 to GP3? Well, I think purely if you looked at the lap times, I think in Barcelona there was about 5 seconds difference in qualifying between Formula 2 and GP3, whereas Formula 2 to Formula 1 there was a 13-second lap difference. And going back to what I mentioned at the start, Formula 1 is extremely fast in the current state. It's just, until you drive these cars, you just cannot understand the speed they're going in the straight, the speeds they're taking in the corners, and to drive it is an unbelievable experience. So but Formula 1 is just so far ahead compared to just for junior series. The cars are so advanced, so it's a huge step up. But you know, that's part and parcel of being a racing driver, and you just got to take it in your stride, really.
Yeah.
Right.
But do you feel like F2 is preparing you for it?
Yeah, Formula 2 is definitely preparing me for Formula 1. I think there's no better championship out there to prepare a driver for Formula 1. Obviously, you're racing the same weekends with at the same circuits in front of the Formula 1 teams on the Pirelli tyres, which are extremely important because the tyres are such a huge factor into GP3, Formula 2, Formula 1. And if we were on a different brand of tyre, it would make it very difficult to make that step into Formula 1. And I think we've seen that before with drivers who have jumped into the Pirelli tyres for the first time, or jumped from a Pirelli tyre to something else for the first time. It's very difficult to adapt. So Formula 2 is definitely the place to be to get me ready for Formula 1. Right, perfect. All right, thank you very much, and yeah, hopefully a good weekend, and see you all soon, I guess. Cheers.